Hi, I'm Scarlett Evans, and I'm here with Clare Walsh, who is the Director of Education for the Institute of Analytics. Claire, I'm trying to think what I want to ask first, but I guess actually, could you tell me about the Institute of Analytics first and your role within the organization?
Yes, so we are a membership body for the data professions, so data analytics, data engineering, business analytics, and we support our members in upskilling, staying up to date with the law, networking, and just giving them that communication outside of the organizations that they work in so that they can understand what is a very complex and very evolving field.
Yeah, and obviously with the rise of something like AI, generative AI, it's such a huge subject matter, but also something that I feel like a lot of the workforce is still coming to grips with that, and how are you guys accommodating for that? What are the kind of challenges you're seeing with this quite significant uptake of technology, and how are people able to ensure that they're taking it on in a way that's sustainable and, I suppose, ethical as well?
So a lot of the chief data officers that we speak to and we have as members are still struggling with the whole process of culture change, because we have to start working with data more, data-driven decision making. We have a lot of experience of producing data of sales statistics, for example, to prove that we took the right decisions historically in the past. But this is a different way of doing business. It's actually looking at the data before we even begin to take the decision. And how do we make better choices, understanding the risks and the future predictive potential of data. So many of our chief data officers were kind of struggling trying to take the companies that they work with who have legacy ways of dealing with things into this future of how we're going to do business, what's going to work in the next 20 years, because what worked in the previous 20 years is not necessarily going to get you there going forwards. And then we have all these new technologies that come on board, and in particular, I mean, generative AI has just been game-changing. It's generated a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of confusion. People are trusting it when they shouldn't. People are perhaps not seeing the potential that they could use it for. There are areas where it can help. And so a lot of our role is just trying to get there first, ahead of our members, support them and say, well, here are the risks, here are the positive sides, and now you need to go and work out how to apply that in the context that you're working in. And at the same time, we have an eye on all the other technological developments that are coming. Generative AI is not the only one out there at the moment.
Yeah, and I think to a layman's perspective, I sometimes think that responsibility slash ethics and AI, it's not something that we always kind of put together, because I think often we just think of AI as this tool that kind of runs by itself. This is from obviously very much a non-industry perspective.
Yeah.
But what are the ways in which we're seeing ethics and responsibility be slightly, I guess, driven or challenged by AI? I guess my question is, what should companies kind of be looking out for if they are starting to take this technology on board?
So personally, I am celebrating being here today, because I've just chaired a session on responsible, trustworthy AI. And I can remember, even just 6 years ago, going to AI conferences, and there would be 0 sessions on ethics. I mean 0. So the fact that there is no question that we need to have ethics sessions here at this conference today, the fact that I was talking to a room full of people, all of them keen to find takeaways that they could implement in their company, that is a cause for celebration. We've come so far in such a short period of time. I think that ethics in AI is challenging because it doesn't depend on the technology, it doesn't depend on the application, it's the use of a technology in a particular application. And so you can't leave it entirely to the data scientists, and you can't leave it entirely to the operations side of a business. Somehow we have to get those two groups talking to each other, understanding what the compromises are, what the risks are, and get them to work out together whether or not the technology they want to apply in this particular business use case is safe. And so there's no one general rule out there we can share with everybody. It's looking at individual case studies, and there isn't really the skill out there at the moment. There aren't anywhere near enough people trained in AI ethics. But that's changing fast, and the fact that we're here today talking about that is just amazing progress.
It's really exciting as well, because it's a whole sector of the workforce that we haven't really tapped into yet, but that there is, as you say, there's an awareness that it needs to happen. So clearly we're going in that direction, but we're still at the point where we're still learning, and I guess education at the moment and upskilling is something that's really quite pivotal, but also something that you just need I guess the platform and the leadership, I suppose, to actually train people, teach people.
And the willingness, yeah. I mean, the way I always explain it, we kind of understood about communication technologies in the 1990s. We had to learn how to use these new communication technologies, like the internet. It wasn't optional. Today, it's decision technologies. And so decision making has ethical implications, and it has business implications, and it's no more optional to say, I'm not interested, I'm going to back out of these decision technologies, I'll leave it to somebody else. We can't do that. It's so foundational to the way organizations do business. At some level, not necessarily at the highest technical levels, but at some level, we all need to start engaging in these technologies and understanding them so that we can then make amazing decisions and deploy the technologies really well and safely and to the benefit of society.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, also it's going to be such a foundational tool. If it's not being, I guess, created in the right way, it has such scope to go for good or for bad. So, but you're right, when you look at it from the positive side, if you do it in the correct way, it's kind of whatever you can imagine.
Oh, there are some amazing applications. And a lot of it is that, I mean, another session I was doing earlier on today was just on the practical side of what does a good, clean data set look like? How do we know it's clean and useful and in the best state? And that's not an ethical issue, that's just a purely practical, how do we get this in the best possible condition while our analysts stay sane? Because data cleaning, you need a shoulder to cry on when you're involved in that. It's a long and difficult process. But you know, if we can start systematizing some of these approaches and strategies, we can come up with better processes. Better processes give us better results, and it's just bringing up the level of professionalism among all of our members, among all of our data analysts, so that we have a field that we can be really proud to work in.
Yeah, and so I suppose looking forward at the next 12 months for the Institute of Analytics, and I guess also just the AI industry in general, I appreciate it's quite a broad question, but what do you sort of anticipate to see moving forward? We've seen such a rapid pace of change. What will happen in the next 12 months? I mean, hopefully also, what do you hope will happen in the next 12 months looking at this?
So one thing I know for sure is going to happen in the next 12 months is that we have been riding on a kind of a legacy debt of legislative environments. You know, we have not really been legislated. We've been left to our own devices to decide what is and isn't ethical. And that's catching up with us so fast. And there are so many laws at every level. I mean, the obvious one is the EU AI Act, which was accepted yesterday morning, just yesterday morning. We've got legislation in America as well. But you know, we have all sorts of other legislations that touch on our work, and it's becoming a very complex patchwork. This year in particular, we have so many new laws coming in. I think it's a good thing because I think it makes responsible innovation non-optional, and certainly there have been some very bad deployments of artificial intelligence for some very negative purposes and perpetuating many of the social disadvantages that we don't want to keep going in society. But what it means on a practical level is that there is a lot of new legislation coming in one go, and it is actually quite challenging for our members or for data scientists in general, just to stay that one step ahead and make sure that their practice is still compliant with the law. And it's quite new for us. We have not really been regulated that much. We've had some regulation, but not to the level that we are this year. So I think this year it's about coming to grips with some of these generative AI technologies and what we can and shouldn't be doing with them, and understanding how to interpret all these legislative changes that are coming.
And then, looking ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
And then next year, who knows? I honestly, from one year to the next, I can never predict what we'll be talking about 12 months in advance.
I know, but it's quite nice to also have that conversation and then go, I wonder what I'll look back on and I'll think, I had no idea that this was going to happen, or I was completely right. But no, I mean, it's such a rich subject matter, and I feel like I'm sorry that we just don't have more time to talk about it, to be honest, because I feel like it's so much to discuss. But thank you so much for I guess, opening the door on that kind of conversation. But yeah, thank you, and good luck with the rest of the year and your journey in helping people understand AI as well.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful conference so far.